It just sounds like you were just like, it's like go, 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 go.
Because I'm sorry, but that's kind of what you're told to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. Plan out your year, do your quarterly goals, do your measurables, your weekly goals. Now meet with your team regularly and make sure you're fulfilling and check the measurables. Like, so I was doing all the things.
What energy is that in though?
That's a good question. Like, I don't know. I don't even know like how to answer that. What do you think?
Well, I've learned that we have this masculine feminine energy, right? Which to me, it was a very foreign concept until I started to observe it. And I'm like, yes, this masculine energy, not talking about male or female, but it's the energy that we bring to our day to day. Masculine being the hustle, the grind, the do, the agenda, everything that you just said. Whereas the feminine energy is the ease, the flow, the spiritual fulfillment, and then moving into the doing. Because we're always going to have to do. We're always going to have to take action. But in what energy are we taking the action?
Yes.
So then your soul started to feel like, whoa, this is not resonating with me. Because if you're and like you said, no discredit to men who can work in that energy, but I don't feel that they're fully fulfilled, because that is the only way that they have known to grow their businesses. Like, no, what do you mean slowing down? What do you mean being in the ease and the calm? Like, we live in a hustle and grind culture, but we need to shift that. We need to move into more of the feminine energy and being able to bring them together. Because when you're in ease and flow, so starting out your day, if you can take time to be in a state of calmness, be in a belief that, hey, my day's going to go perfect, everything's going to work out for me. And then you go into the, okay, what do I got to do today? It makes the day feel lighter. You feel that you can get more things accomplished. And I believe you also just feel good about what you're doing, and you want to do the things on the list that you're supposed to do, instead of starting off your day thinking, oh my gosh, I have this to do, I have that to do, okay, how much time do I have to get this? Do you even hear me? It just sounds rushed.
I know. I'm sure when I was telling you, you're like, yeah. So 100%. I know we talked about that. Like, what does it mean to live your masculine or your feminine energy? What does it mean to experience both of those in your business as well as in your relationships?
Yes.
And unfortunately, it just creates a habit.
I know.
I created this momentum and this habit where I was showing up consistently a certain way.
But I don't think you knew any other way to show up, because if you are seeing other people succeed in this way, right, this is what you're being shown and taught, how would you think to do it differently?
So that was the question I started to ask myself. I'm like, where are the feminine voices in business?
Right.
Literally, because so this was after the hen happened. That I started to have these realizations, because again, I hadn't given myself enough time to slow down. So once I did, forcefully, please make sure you take the time before something like this happens to you. I really started to analyze, like, where did I start to get all these ideas and thoughts from? Where am I learning how to grow my businesses? And realize that I was really learning from male experts. One is, unfortunately, there's a lot more male voices out there when it comes to business and money, and I'm like, hey, where's the female business owner? So I started to intentionally search.
Oh, good for you.
Because I listen to podcasts, I read books, that's where I learn a lot of things. So I started to search for female writers. I started to search for female podcasters, female business owners. Who are they, and what conversations are we having? As I started to talk about this with different colleagues, I noticed a lot of us are in the same boat.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because we're all feeling the same thing. We're like, I don't know that we have. And so this is the vision for the Miami Mastermind 2.0.
Oh, I'm so excited. You guys are going to have this 2.0.
I know.
Guys, Miami 1.0 was incredible. Oh, I'm so happy for you guys.
This is because I'm like, I don't know, how do you show up in business, in your relationship, with a feminine energy? Like, what does that even look like? Because I think we're so, and I was having a conversation with Anton this morning about this, because we are so used to habits of not just us, but our male counterparts.
Yes.
And female counterparts. We're so used to showing up a certain way. We're not even allowing ourselves to show up in a feminine energy because we feel like it's not good enough. We feel like it's not going to be valued. We feel like we're going to be seen as emotional. Like I was having a conversation with, a really close friend of mine. She's really high up in the corporate world. And she was talking about coming to a meeting and not wanting to say something in the meeting. All males there, all directors, executives level. And I said to her, just tell them. Like, she's like, no, I can't say that. They're going to think I'm like emotional.
Oh, man.
You know what I'm saying? So we limit ourselves, first of all. And second, I think we steal from others and from our businesses and from our relationships the opportunity to attract a different energy. If we're not coming into it with the energy that we intend, we're also, everybody around us is missing the opportunity to experience the value of the female energy we can bring to the table.
Exactly.
That being said, I don't fully know how to navigate that, and that's kind of what I want to explore. We're bringing in a speaker that's going to be talking about that. How do you navigate like a feminine energy when it comes to your business and to your relationships? Because that carries over. When I'm in a masculine energy, often in business, then I can't quite switch completely off when I'm in with my husband or with my kids. And that kind of carries over into my life of like,
just keep going, just keep doing. Like, let's check off the things on the task list.
Now the kids, let's go kids. Now you have to do this. Now let's get that done. And like, there's no like,
slow down a second. Like, hold on. Let me just allow things to be. But then, like you said, it's how we show up. It's like, how intentional are you about being in the feminine energy? Right? Like, can you wholeheartedly accept that, hey, you know what? I'm just going to allow things to be today. I'm not going to get upset if things don't go the way I think they should go, because how it's going to go is exactly how it's meant to go. Like, there's a difference there, right? Instead of trying to control outcomes and control situations. The more I think we can love on ourselves, it's easier to show up in the feminine energy. But where does self-love come into play? How much grace do you give yourself every single day? How much worthiness do you feel for you to say, I am good enough just the way I am? Because the more self-love, the more worthy you feel, I think you will be able to speak your mind. Not feel guilty for sharing something, because the world needs us to be in a feminine edge, and for men too, to show up with more of, okay, how can I let this be easy instead of making it hard? I do not believe, and I'm learning also, life is not meant to be hard. We make it hard because what we observe, like, oh my goodness, but it's all what we tell ourselves. Whatever we tell ourselves is what's showing up in our life, right? But through patterns, through childhood, through our parents and our ancestors, and the fight or flight, things in our life where we go into survival mode. We don't know any other way until you start going within. And you say, wait a second, this is not working for me. How can I do something in an easier way? Because there is an easier way. We just have to stop being the limit, right? We create the limit in our mind when life is limitless. But how can you keep moving forward if you're the block? If all you're seeing in your life is hard, is scarcity, is, oh, this is not going to work for me. Because we always want the thing. We want to do this, we want to grow our business, but subconsciously, are we feeling worthy to have it? Are we feeling that, hey, this could be easy if I allow it to be easy? How do we allow it to be easy? Right? It's working on yourself, giving yourself more self-love, forgiving yourself for all the things in the past, and saying, you know what, I'm here right now in this moment. How can I make this moment the best that it can be? Because I'm bringing towards me the ability to have an amazing life, and experience life through ease, joy, and fun.
I love it. So true. I guess like part of what I've been wondering or wanting to become aware of is conversations and language around like how I'm showing up, really, literally. You know, I feel like I have to show up a certain way.
Okay, and how's that?
In like a business conversation. So like, I will give an example. We're dealing with like a development project and we're having a lot of negotiations and discussions.
Right.
And I feel like I need to show up with a masculine energy. This is kind of subconsciously, like, I'm aware of it, as you can tell. But I don't know how, like, I can't even visualize what does it look like to show up differently, because I'm just build this construct of like, when I go into this business situation, I need to show up at a certain way. I'm prepared with facts and numbers and, you know, negotiation and all of these things. Does it look, first of all, I do think masculine energy is important.
Yeah,
and we do need to
like
tap into it. But I don't want to be in it so much. And I also feel like there's so much value in the feminine energy that my question has become, how do I show up more in a feminine energy in my business and in the business conversations that I'm having and in my relationships? Because there's so much value in it.
Well, it's that state of being, right? Like, how are you starting off your day? Are you starting off your day like using meditation, using visualization? Because these are all ways of being, like, how are you being in flow? How are you connecting spiritually to your oneness, like your sense of self and your identity? And like using that encompassed, you can then go into the, okay, I'm showing up at this meeting, but I feel absolutely amazing. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to give them the facts without it like feeling hard or without it feeling like it must be done. Like it's believing that it will be done in this beautiful way and then allowing you to show up that way. Right?
I love it. Yes.
Because we're tied to this, things have to be this way. Like we're programmed, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm going into business. So what does that mean? Okay, well, business means, and then we have all these meanings behind what it means, right?
Yes.
To be this way. What is a business? Dealing with men all the time. But scale that back a second. Couldn't you be better and show up in such a beautiful way and still be so powerful with the facts, with the numbers, but you're still being you?
100%. I so believe that.
Yeah, I believe
and it's
too.
like, I feel like as female leaders and business owners and entrepreneurs, and these are conversations that I've been having, because I think we all deal with a lot of that.
Yeah,
We do enter the world, and we've been operating business and corporations like with a lot of masculine energy at the end of the day. We all, I feel like most of my friends who are, you know, really doing amazing things, they're living so much of their masculine energy. And then it becomes a really big conversation about, I don't want to be the man in my relationship.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
It always turns into that, because you're so much in your masculine energy, and then you look at your relationships, and that's the biggest complaints that I hear from all my friends. It's like, I don't want to be the man in the relationship. Why can't he be the man? Why doesn't he like take over? Why doesn't he? And I'm like, listen, you can't force somebody to show up a certain way. All you can do is control how you're showing up.
Yes.
How much are you showing up in your feminine energy in your relationship?
Right, exactly.
I had this whole conversation with somebody. We went to a retreat. I spoke at a retreat a few weeks ago, and we were having this whole conversation. She's like, wow, I will be able to show up, and a lot of women think this way, I'll be able to show up in my feminine energy once he shows up in his masculine.
Oh my God,
energy.
no.
I need like a masculine man so I can feel feminine. Like, that was the conversation. And I said to her, I'm like, wait a minute. Like, how are you showing up? Are you the universe has a law of attraction.
Yeah.
You know, you need to attract that energy for yourself. Are you showing up feminine? She's like, I don't know that I can do that, because I can't trust that he's going to take care of things. And that's a lot of women's definition of masculinity, is feeling safe, is making sure the man is taking care of things, making sure the man is doing things a certain way, making sure the man is providing, making sure the man is arranging. And I said to her, this is exact definition of letting go of control.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's also sounding to me, that's a different interpretation of masculine and feminine energy.
Okay, so tell me, and I've been having this conversation too. Tell me what to you is, because one of the analogies that came up in that conversation was men or masculine energy, not men and female, but masculine energy is like a pole and feminine energy is like the flag. That's like,
right.
you know, the man is there, it's stable, it's steady, and the woman is like there, like secured in the man, in the masculine energy, but like ultimately flowing and moving around. So I thought that didn't quite sit right with me, to be honest, and I did have an answer for that or how I felt about it, but I'm curious to hear what is your definition of masculine energy and feminine energy?
Yeah, like, so there's being masculine and being feminine and then showing up in a masculine and feminine energy.
Okay.
Right? Being masculine is that, you know, yes, I can take care of the house and I provide and all of the things that you expect or expectations that society has set on men.
Okay.
Right? Being feminine is like that, oh, I can just sit here and look pretty and, you know,
okay.
Or just being softer. Being the homemaker or being the one that takes care of the kids. Like, it's feminine. Like, then we're talking about male and women.
Yes.
Right? Men and women.
Yes.
Whereas like the energy of masculine is you're in your doing. You're in the hustle and grind. You're in the I can't sleep. I've got to check these things off my list. And then the feminine energy is showing up in a way that is with ease and with flow, and you're connected to spirit, and you're trusting that things are going to go well, because that's how you're ultimately starting off the day with that type of an energy, and then you're moving into the doing part of it. So you're not moving into the doing part of it by cultivating a feeling of it being hard. This is going to be hard. Oh my gosh. You know, you have all these like ideas of maybe it might not work, and how am I going to show up, and I got to rush through this thing. But you're like, okay, I'm going to be in ease. I'm going to know that this is going to be easy for me. And with that thought, it creates the ease. Even though a challenge may show up, you're in the feminine energy of, hey, it's okay. We're going to figure out the solution. It's solution-based opposed to problem-based. Does that make sense?
Yes. I guess part of my conversation in that when they were using that analogy was we both need both, right?
Yeah,
like
I agree.
Men need to tap into their female energy too, feminine energy too, and so do we need to tap into our masculine energy as well for action.
Yes.
To like jump into action.
Yes. Nothing can move forward. Like, our business can't move forward until we take the action. But sometimes we're always in the action.
That's right.
I was listening to a webinar one time, and there's an amazing coach on there, and she was talking about when she worked one-on-one with men. They were, you know, men usually don't have time for their families. They're always working.
Yes.
So she was teaching about the feminine energy and scaling back for a moment.
Yes.
Giving yourself like time. And she got like, people were really responding to that and saying, hey, you know what, since I understand this concept, I'm able to have more time with my family. I'm not feeling guilty if I'm taking the afternoons off. But it's on program. It's all in our programming.
It's so crazy how I don't think we talk about this enough. And know about it enough, and are aware, so we can tap into, because it's powerful. If you're aware that you can literally tap into these different energies within you, and you're able to switch them literally on and off, you know, like, and choose how you're showing up in every situation. With the analogy of the pole, my first instinct was like, I don't think that's fair to men. I'm like, men also need space to be in their feminine energy, so we need to hold space for them to have feelings.
And that's the thing.
And have weaknesses. And have like tough times.
But that's so frowned upon in society right now.
It's frowned upon for men, like you said, for them not to be doing anything, and because like they're supposed to be out there and doing the things.
A lot of pressure on them too.
That's what I said. I'm like, it's so much. I think we put, that was the exact words that when I heard the analogy, like I feel like we put so much pressure on our men because we're not making enough space for them. to connect with their emotions.
Yeah.
Men are, I find, a lot of the men that I know are so disconnected.
Oh my gosh.
From their hearts.
Yes.
From their like emotional centers.
Yeah.
Because they're just like, they've been taught and conditioned that you operate here. Right? You operate rationally, you make decisions, you act, and then rinse and repeat, and you show up, and you're firm,
just live your life
stable.
that way.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes.
There's no like deterring from that.
Yes.
But then what state are they in?
Exactly.
A lot of them are suffering silently, not being able to share with their friends.
Yes.
Can kind of talk to their women or their wives or partners. But
if
then
the woman is willing to make that space too.
Exactly. Because then women can turn around and be like, well, no, but you're supposed to, I don't need to hear it. Like there's so many dynamics that could go around. So where's the space for men in society to be vulnerable? To say, hey, you know what, this can feel hard sometimes. I need to resolve my emotions and my feelings. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Like we put so much emphasis on emotions are bad. Feeling emotional is bad. But if you think about it, like I'm really big into manifestation and the law of attraction, but most of the emotions is like it coincides with manifestation, right? Because it's based on feeling. So if you're not feeling good, you're going to attract the things in which you're in alignment with. So if you're not emotionally connected to yourself, what are you attracting on a daily basis? So you're pushing. It's like you're pushing against a wall, and you keep going.
So much resistance.
Yes, so much resistance. But men don't see that. So how can we foster a culture where men can start to understand you can show up differently?
My theory.
Oh, I love to hear this.
My theory is I think things will start to change once we change.
Yeah.
So the ones that are aware, because not everybody is, but if you are aware of it and you can literally show up, because I'm just, and this was the biggest shift that I had coming back from the Miami Mastermind 1.0. You remember what I shared there as my mastermind.
Yes.
You know, I was very vulnerable and was going through something quite deep.
Yeah.
And was feeling really like I had no options, had no way out. I was at the end of my rope. I was just feeling so many of those feelings. I got back and things got a little worse for a little while there because I was just like, this is not Miami at all. How do I go back? You know?
I thought it was gonna get better.
Yeah. But it's always about the inner work. Yeah. As much as we want to like preach and affect change outside, I don't know that you can really cause any shifts unless you feel it in here first.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So that was the biggest realization that I had. I was going through some tough times in my relationship, in my marriage. And I got back and I just started it was honestly felt like a light, and I've shared this with you before, I felt like a light switch moment of like a realization that everything that was bothering me and annoying me, for lack of a better word, and like causing so much pain were really things that I was struggling with within myself.
Wow. Yeah, it's so true, because sometimes it's a reflection, right?
It was totally a reflection.
Wow.
I'm like, everything that I'm noticing here, I'm only noticing because I like feel it in here.
Yeah,
and it's not pretty.
Yeah.
What I'm looking at wasn't pretty, but I was just looking at him instead of looking at me. So it was like a light switch moment of like, holy, this is hard to face and accept. But it's, excuse me, but it's hopeful. Because now I'm finally becoming aware, and I can start to change my reality at that point. And that became the focus, you know?
Because you work on you. You're working on you. And when you work on you, like your outside world or the reality that we experience, and each one of us have different realities based on, you know, what we see in our lives, is a reflection of what goes on inside of us. So the only way to change life externally is by changing within us. So how are you looking at somebody else? Like, how are they showing up to you in your mind? If you're looking at this person being like, oh my God, they're so lazy, they're always late, they're doing this, they never do anything, well, that is what they're going to show up in the assumption that you hold for them. But if you start to say, okay, and do the inner work and say, you know what? I'm going to start to take control of this, and I'm going to tell myself that they're going to show up differently. So you start journaling that out, whether it's a relationship, a friendship, a business partnership, and like you start to really get focused on how you want that relationship to be, and you start to see it in your mind. You start to do the inner work of like, when you're having conversations with them, you're like, oh my God, they're going to be so amazing today. And you tell yourself intentionally, you know, they're going to show up differently. They will eventually catch up to the way that you think about them, because people show up in the assumption of what we assume them to be. So why are we not reversing that and saying, I want to see them show up differently? Because then you're showing up differently. You're not thinking all these like negative things about them, because now you're doing the inner work and saying it's okay. They're gonna, like, I know that they're gonna be this, that, and all the other things, and allow like the attraction, allow it to take form.
So I'm gonna take it a step even deeper than that. What I really started to change that made a massive difference in my marriage was in that example that you gave about lateness as an example, and that is a real situation in marriage. Instead of being, you know, again, allowing feelings of annoyance to come out, and then I feel disrespected, all these things that come up for me when he's late for something, or when like he's making us late for something.
Right.
I started to take the focus off of him, and I put it on myself, and I said, why do I feel so upset about lateness?
Right.
What about the situation is triggering me?
Yeah.
What are my beliefs around lateness and around the situation that's making me feel this way? And how do I deal with that?
Ooh, that's good.
Literally all I started to do with everything. Instead of even trying and hoping and praying that he would change, I started to put the focus 100% on me.
Yeah.
And everything that triggered me, I would be like, why is it triggering me that this is happening? What is going on in here that I need to pay attention to?
Yes.
And how do I start to show up differently with it myself? So a really small change, because of where I was, you know, because you know, where I was in it, and how I started to affect even small changes was one, I made it like, hey, I'm not going to make a permanent decision. That's not what this is about. I'm going to literally one day at a time.
I love that.
I'm going to show up today. I'm here today. So how do I want to show up today? And it feels right to me to show up in the kitchen in the morning and be respectful and say good morning and feel good and not feel annoyed and not knowing it. So I literally took the focus off of him.
Yeah.
And I turned it inside.
You have to.
You don't have an option.
No, you don't, because you can't wait for the person to show up. Sorry, but you can't wait for them and hope and wish, right? No, it's got to come from you.
And the most impressive thing is the results just come natural. I wasn't even seeking an end result here. I wasn't trying to change the relationship.
Right.
I wasn't expecting any specific outcome from it. Yeah. I wasn't trying to like make, okay, now all of a sudden our lives are going to look, I wasn't even going there. Right. I was just going like, how do I live like I want to live?
Right.
Like I want to show up. And if that is coming to the kitchen in the morning and not being annoyed, and literally saying good morning and being in a good mood and cooking my family breakfast because that feels right to me, that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah. And I don't have an agenda here. I'm not trying to pull anything here.
Because you let go. You let go of the outcome.
Yes.
And you turned it inward and you started showing up. It's like you were mentally rehearsing. Okay, how do I want? Like you're telling yourself, how am I going to show up today? Yeah. Right? And then when you start showing up, then the person starts like, it's such a magical process, right?
There's just no way not to have and part of not being attached to the outcome was my thinking that like, it's either going to work itself out or you won't. But either way, this new reality that I'm creating is going to be amazing because I'm being so intentional to build it every single day. But I'm not attached to the outcome. Yes.
That was the belief that it's going to work for me either way. And I'm going to trust that like it's going to work itself out one way or another. But we tend to believe in like, oh no, like it's not going to work out. But just like letting go of the outcome and just allowing it, but knowing in your heart, okay, I'm going to be okay either way.
Yes.
You know, and then things change. Things like, we're attracting how we feel.
Yeah.
We don't attract what we want. We attract how we feel about the thing that we want.
Yes.
So how are you feeling? Like, our magnet is always on.
Yes.
Right? It's always on.
Yes.
Whether we're conscious to what we're attracting into our lives or whether we're not. So let's be conscious of it. Let's, wake up every morning and say, how do I want to feel today? And nobody can hurt. So I heard this one time and I was like, oh my God, this is so good. Nobody can hurt your feelings except for if you allow them to hurt your feelings.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So if he's telling you something, this and that and whatever, well, you're allowing that person to then dictate how you're going to feel. So you're giving them the power in their hands to change how you are instead of saying, oh no, I am great today. And nothing you can say is going to, you're just going to bounce off of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a you problem. Work on yourself. Because I'm working on myself and I feel amazing over here.
Yeah.
Not to discount that we're going to go through situations and feel emotions, but it's a practice of showing up how you want to every single day.
And being so aware of it. It's like, I no longer blame him when I'm feeling annoyed.
Yeah, you can't.
Because I'm like, that's allowing somebody to have that much power. I'm aware of it and I'll voice it out. I'm like, now our conversations are like this. Like, oh, you know what happened yesterday? I have to be honest with you. Like, I got really upset and I got really annoyed or I got triggered or use words like that. And I'll say, and I've been trying to figure out why. What triggered me about that? Like, and I have some thoughts. Sometimes I know, sometimes I feel like I know what triggered it. Sometimes I don't. But just communicating, I think, like, opens, because I'm like, okay, I feel like what triggered me was when I was a kid, my mommy used to say this and this and this all the time.
Right.
And in my head, when that situation happened, I immediately feel that trigger come up.
Right. Oh my god.
The other thing that I started to say to him was, I'm feeling this way right now. So I'll give a really practical example. We're finishing our basement as a secondary unit.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. It's to help with, the carrying costs. And it's happening slower than I like. Can anybody understand that? Okay. So the other day I walked to him and I was feeling this like angst. I'm like, come on, just finish it already.
Yeah.
And I walked up to him and said, like, listen, I'm feeling like a little ultimately resentful about the whole situation because I'm feeling like I'm going to have to physically jump in and start doing some things. And I'm not saying that how I'm feeling is correct or accurate. I'm saying that that's how I'm feeling in this moment. I'm feeling this like trigger and this like anxious feeling around it. Can we talk about it?
Oh yeah, I love that.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm still bringing it up because you have to have these conversations.
You do.
But I'm not coming at it with the assumption of like, you're lazy, why aren't you doing more?
Exactly.
Get to work. What is this? That
the blame.
Yeah.
You're not putting the blame on him.
I'm like putting like the awareness on myself. He's not feeling anything. He's sitting there eating his breakfast. I'm the one that's like, so I'm recognizing that. Like it's not his vibration. And that was his answer. He's like, you know what? The basement hardly comes to my mind because I'm so focused on these projects that we're starting now.
Right.
So it's not even coming to my mind.
See? And we just assume sometimes that like they know what we're thinking. So if you didn't approach that in a different way, that could have turned out like this whole
in the
ball
past,
of fire.
You would have.
Yeah.
This is how I would have done it in the past. I would have been resentful, stressed for a few weeks before I brought it up. And when I brought it up, it would have been an explosion.
Yeah.
It would have been a fight. I would have come at it with like anger and upsetness and misunderstanding. And this is the work. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
this is the inner work of like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
It's all in here. He doesn't even know what's going on.
I know.
Like there was one point in time, I tell my friends this, like he'd be sitting here eating and I would just walk by and be like, and like death stare, like, I'm like, how crazy is that? Like, he's not even like, and I'm like, it's all me. It's all me.
I know. Like, as women, as humans, like, we have to take responsibility for our lives, for the parts that we play in a situation, because we can't expect others to just know to read our minds. How are we responding to situations that life throws at us without just reacting, without holding it in, and then we just explode do it. It's the inner work. It's always the inner work. It's slowing down and taking a moment and saying, okay, how can I approach this differently? But if you're not aware to do that, then you're just going to keep repeating the cycle of, oh my gosh, it's your fault and you did this and you, instead of like, we all have to at some point take ownership in everything that we do, because there's nothing that you can say I didn't have, like there's no responsibility that I can play in this, right? There's something, or there's something that you can take ownership for. And when you own that, it is so liberating. And you can say, okay, well, this is how I showed up. Now how can I show up differently? Because when I show up differently, the situation changes.
Yes,
the circumstances
exactly.
change.
Liberating is the word I used. I'm like, it's the most liberating feeling when you recognize that it's really in here, and how much power and how much influence you have in your outcomes.
Yeah. So can I ask you, what do you do daily then to be in this state, to be able to recognize these things and have this type of awareness?
That's a good question, and I'm not sure. You've talked several times about like starting the day with meditation and like journaling, and I have to say that my morning routine has really been like on and off. It honestly depends on what's going on.
Yeah,
I'll go through long stretches where I'm coming down in the morning, I'm taking the time, I'm doing the meditation, and then I go through some stretches that I don't really do that as intentionally or as a routine. Honestly, it really, like I said, depends on the day, but it normally starts with me noticing a negative emotion.
Okay.
Like I start to notice that I'm like unhappy, or feel like I'm in a bit of a funk, or I'm a little down, or I'm noticing that I'm annoyed or upset. And I'm like, hey, like what is going on within me that's causing, like, I know that it's my thoughts that are causing the emotions. So I start to notice, what am I telling myself right now? I'm telling the basement's never gonna get done. I'm telling like he's lazy, or he's not doing the work, or what's wrong with him, or
but
like whatever.
Things that can come up. So consciously, as much as we want to be aware, it'll like sneak up, right? Those little paradigms, those little like repeating patterns and thoughts.
So I had to admit, and like this is gonna have to be at least 2 or 3 episodes, by the way, because this is so good. I had this crazy realization. So I think the thing that allows me to keep looking within is my desire to feel good.
Yeah.
Because when I care about how I feel, it makes me put some intentional work into like what is going on that I'm feeling bad about, and how do I change that.
Right. Yeah.
However, and here's the catch, and here's where I feel like a lot of people get caught up with the law of attraction and manifestation, and I got caught up in that last year a bit as I really dove into like listening to Abraham Hicks and talking about the law of attraction and seeking feeling good, and that's really all you have to do. If you feel good, then like everything is going to be good, because you can attract all the good things in your life. I had 2 major realizations last year, lessons that I learned. One is, I feel like at some point in time last year, I became, I couldn't tolerate negative emotions.
Okay. Within yourself, or just like from other people?
In general, in me and other people. Because I was so focused on feeling good all the time that I couldn't tolerate anybody that had a negative emotion around me.
You kind of repel it now.
You know what I'm saying? Like when my kids were having a bad day, were complaining, it was just so in my body. It felt so like, I can't do this. Like, oh my gosh, anybody that's saying anything that has negative emotions, I need to distance myself. I felt really suffocating. It was such an interesting, like, I feel like I went so in one extreme. What I realized is that's not necessarily the right thing to do. Even though I want to feel good, we all need to make space for negative emotions, because they are your teachers. At the end of the day, like, I need to make space for my daughter when she sits down and starts complaining about school and a friend and this situation happened. I can't just be like, oh no, it's just clear the air, positive energy. Just don't feel that way. Look at the bright side.
Just be happy.
You know what I'm saying? Because I felt like there was a tendency to go in that direction at some point in time, and I learned, wait a minute, like, I kind of correlated with going to the gym.
Okay. I'd love to hear this analogy.
You know, it takes me energy and effort to get to the gym.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not like, whoa, let's go to the gym.
Yeah, no. You gotta talk yourself into going sometimes.
Literally, like, you don't have enough. Like, I'm like that. Some people apparently are, you know, in love with it. For me, it takes energy. However, every time I come back from the gym, there's this feel-good feeling.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't have a feel-good feeling going to it.
No. I can agree with you. I'm like that too, yeah.
But I have every time, there hasn't been one time that I have gone to the gym that I come back and feel crappy. There hasn't been one. No. I've come back and I feel good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So it's not about always feeling pleasure.
Yeah.
And that's the difference that I started to make. One thing is, what does make you feel good and what brings you pleasure are two separate things.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's not about seeking pleasure, because you can go down the line of like, going to the club feels good.
Yeah.
Drinking that 2 drinks feels good. You know, like flirting with that person feels good. So as long as it feels good, it's all okay.
Yeah, then it's okay. No.
You see the difference there? So, and that was with negative emotions. It was like, yes, it doesn't feel good in the moment, but it will feel good to work through it.
Yeah.
And get to an awareness and a learning on the other side, and learn something about myself, and to make space for people to learn themselves and come to new awareness and new levels. So it doesn't feel good necessarily in the moment, but I know it will feel good as they grow, as I grow, when I make space for negative emotions.
Yeah. And you're right. I think people get caught up in the whole, you have to feel good all the time, every single day, because you're attracting based on how you feel. But we don't allow ourselves then with that idea to hold space for, because we're gonna feel sad sometimes. We're gonna feel upset, we're gonna feel annoyed, but it's recognizing when those feelings come up. It's giving yourself grace to say, let me acknowledge what I'm feeling and let me move through it. Let me sit here for like half an hour a day and move through it. You can still be a positive person experiencing a state of sadness. You are not the sadness. You are not the upset.
So good.
Right?
Yes.
You are just in that state for that temporary moment.
So as I was going through the whole thing with my hand, going back to that, there's so many lessons, you see, like it was tough. Like I couldn't do anything. I was in a lot of pain. I didn't know if I was gonna ever be able to use my right hand again. I couldn't write or type or feed myself. It was just like,
there's so many things that could have like
I
spiraled out of control.
Wow. I couldn't work. Like there was just, it was nuts. Like, and I told you just a few minutes ago how fast I was going with a momentum, and all of a sudden it was a halt. It was tough. Like, I'm very good at crisis situations. Somehow there's something within me that kicks, and I'm really good at problem solving and staying calm.
Because you're so calm. Yeah, you're always very calm.
I just, anyways. So at the very first couple of days, that kicked in, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna stay calm. My sister tells me, because when I called her, I hadn't seen anybody. I was bleeding like crazy. I needed to get to a hospital, and I was by myself. And I called my sister to ask her to come get the kids, and she could not believe. And she tells the story to everybody. They were like calling me as if we're having a conversation. Hey, how are you?
How's it going?
A situation has happened here. And she's like, I don't understand. I'm crying and screaming and like asking for help. And you were just so calm and collected and rational. Anyways, so I managed to stay there for a couple of days. And then obviously it starts to hit you. And I had moments, like especially at night when I was sleeping and I couldn't sleep. I had this cast on my hand. I'm turning around. I'm feeling pain. I just had freak out moments of like, this is so much worse than I could have thought. What if I never regain like strength in my hand? What if it's a permanent damage? Or like all these thoughts would come. And I had to practice what I believe so much. Like I was really put to the test of like, wait a minute. Do you really believe that you create your reality? Do you really believe that you can heal your body? Do you really believe that keeping your mind in the most positive space possible is going to make all the difference. And literally had to like bring up all these truths that I know now and keep myself mentally in a really good place for as much of the time as I could.
This is the work, right? Like we can sit here and tell you guys, think positive, do all the things, but when you're in a real life situation, are you practicing what you're preaching? Are you telling yourself, am I spiraling down and letting the thoughts and the emotions get to you? You're proof.
It's so crazy because my mom moved in with us for a few weeks in there because she was helping with the kids and cook dinner and like all the logistical things.
So all this transition now has happened in your life.
It was crazy. Like mobilizing my family. Anton craziness. Before she left, she said to me, "I'm so inspired by you because I've seen you go through this moment, and if I were you, it would be in a very different mental space. I would be feeling depressed and you can't use your head." And she would start crying. She's like, "But I look at you and you're happy. Wow. You seem fine. You seem like you're handling it so well. Like, are you really? Like,
are you sure you're okay? You just hiding the emotions?"
And I'm like, I always tell her the same thing. I'm like, I have my moments, I really do.
Yeah, and you're going to. It's going to come up. But
it's okay.
Is it dominating?
For that. Exactly. And she's like, I feel so good because I know, first of all, you have full confidence you're going to heal completely because I see it in you. I see the confidence that you have. So I feel confident. I know that you're fine. I know you can handle all the things that come your way. I'm so impressed by how you're able to keep yourself in that place. And it was like, honestly, as you're living, like it was so nice to get the feedback and know that all the work that you do put in intentionally pays off. And like you said, inspires other people to live their lives in a better way.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Oh my God. Like, we have to be the change. Then other people can look at us and say, oh my gosh, like if they can do it, how can I live my life better? Like this is what I want to inspire people to do. And you're living this truth, right? Because I've seen you show up on podcasts, you talk about your hand and you're laughing. But to hear it from you today that like, you had your moments and you felt, am I going to be able to get through this? But you conquered those thoughts and you really were like, no, I got to push this out of the way. Like, that's how powerful you are. That's how powerful the mind can be.
It's so powerful. I recorded a reel, like I think a week or two in, because I wanted to talk about it, and somebody challenged me yesterday to talk about it even more, and I'm going to. And then everybody was like, they're like, this is crazy. Like something happened to you, but you're talking on the reel, like, what if you woke up and you couldn't use your right hand?
Yeah, that was so hilarious.
I'm like, I didn't even know that was gonna be like surprising to people, but apparently it was. So everybody was like, you look like you're smiling, you're teaching people about this, and yet like something happened, so good.
But this is why we have to be controls like 100% in the driver's seat of our lives. Because if we're not, it's so easy to get swayed in different directions. And it's fine. It can happen when you're in the beginning of this self-discovery journey, but it's remaining in a state of, okay, I'm the one in control of my life. So how am I going to show up every single day? I'm going to experience circumstances because that's how life is, right? The law of polarity. There's always going to be opposites. So we're going to experience good times. We're going to experience bad times. That is just the way life goes. As we can see in the real estate market, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down, right? When we're in the good, we appreciate the good. When we're in the down, well, how can we still appreciate what's happening around us and be grateful for those moments and be in the mindset of, okay, you know what? Like, I'm going to get through this, and look for evidence in your life where you have gotten through circumstances. Like, nothing's ever going to be the same for what we experience, but we know we can get ourselves out. And it's the belief, it's the faith, it's the unwavering faith, whether you were conscious to it or not, that pulled you out of that situation. That you used all of the tools that you have been working on and you've learned throughout your self-development journey this is where like it really kicks in. When you have to pull them all out, right?
All of them. And that's why I said, I'm like, I'm so thankful, because if this had happened 2 years ago,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the intentional work that I've done really allows you to carry yourself through moments like this.
Yeah.
And that's the true definition of your reserve fund.
Oh, yes, I love that. Reserve fund,
Real estate
not just in real
terms.
estate, but in life as well.
100%. This is your toolbox. This is your reserve fund. When something happens, this is where you're going to be able to, leverage and pull upon to keep yourself afloat and keep yourself moving forward.
So what did you do in that time to keep those thoughts positive, to keep focused on your healing?
Yeah. So I really live on a day-by-day philosophy.
Okay.
Honestly, I think this is one of the biggest things that helps me with anything in life, because it was just like all I can do is control this moment here.
Yeah,
that's all. I can't think about tomorrow. Because with the hand, there's so many unknowns.
Yeah.
They literally, and it was a scary process, because as I started sharing with people what happened, I would hear stories like, oh yeah, that happened to my boyfriend and he never regained.
Oh my gosh. So other people's influence.
Oh, that happened. They never fixed it.
Oh God.
I'm like, I'm going to stop telling people, because I can't. Don't tell me those things. I know it's so funny that obviously they don't mean to, but that's literally the stories that come out. Oh, that happened to, I'm like, oh my gosh, don't tell me. Unless it's a happy ending, don't tell me. And and this was part of my intention. At the very beginning, as soon as it happened, everybody kept asking me, what happened?
Yeah, exactly.
And then every time I would retell the story, I felt like I was reliving it.
That's because that's what you're doing.
Exactly. And I'm like, I couldn't even tell the story. I'm like, I can't. Yeah. And I started telling. So that's the awareness piece. I realized that every time I would retell the story of what happened, I would feel all the feelings of that moment. Yeah. Imagine reliving an accident over and over again.
Well, this is what we do in our lives constantly.
So I became aware of actually that's not helping me here. So again, the awareness first. And then I started to communicate that to people. And whenever somebody would ask me, I would say, oh, I'm getting better. And they're like, no, but what happened? I'm like, oh, I'm choosing not to tell the story.
I love that.
Or I noticed that if I tell the story, I'm reliving it. And that's enough for everybody to be like, back off.
Exactly.
And be like, okay, that's good points. And
coming back to the mind, our subconscious mind and our conscious mind, our subconscious mind does not know the difference between a lived experience or something that you're imagining.
I would feel traumatized all over again.
Because you're going back to the past.
And that's not what I wanted to talk about.
No,
that's why I created that reel. Because I'm like, let me talk to you about how to make this a good learning situation, how I'm dealing with it, and wanting to talk about a different direction about it. How can I use what happened and talk about it in a way that's actually going to bring where I can talk about my learnings, but it's going to bring a positive impact and inspiration to other people, as opposed to focusing on what happened.
Yeah, because now you're going back in the past. You're going back to something that's already happened. Yes. Why keep reliving the tale? It's done. It's over with. You're like, I don't want to keep focusing on it because now it's cementing more, and then it's creating more of this feeling of what am I going to get better? And you start questioning that, right?
So that was number one thing that I realized early on, that I had to move on. And I told my mom this, because my mom is. And that was a top conversation we had, because I was around her so much, and she's one of the people. She's like, I need to understand, what did the doctor say?
Gosh.
And how many stitches was it again? And how deep did the knife go? And I'm like, Mom, I understand that you have this desire to kind of rationally understand everything.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I can't talk about it in those kinds of details with you, because I just don't want to focus on it.
Oh, good for you.
And it was hard, because I had to remind her several times
of that.
Because she would come back and be like, okay, I know you want to talk about it, but can you tell me, And I'll be like, I appreciate that you want to know, and I'll tell you as much as I can, but I literally don't want to focus on it.
Good for you. And when you shift your focus off the trauma, you start focusing on the healing.
Yes.
Then your body's like, okay, we're not focused on this anymore. We're focused on moving forward. So then the healing process is faster. It's quicker.
I have this craziest, so I feel like I really want to check my phone, make sure it's still recording. Had this craziest realization. I went to a conference back in December. I still had the cast on. I was actually speaking at this conference, And after I got off from stage, a lady approached me, an older lady, and she said to me, I had the exact same thing happen to me. And I'm like, tell me more. And she's like, told me the accident that she went through. She cut the same finger. She also cut through her tendon and her nerve, had the same cast on for the same amount of time. And I'm like, how is it now? She's like, well, like, I still can't carry, like, pull the luggage. I still can't, like, shove something off, like, on the top of a cupboard. It's like I don't have full grip strength on my hands. Okay. And that was number one concerns from the doctor, was regaining grip strength on your hand. So you can pull things, push things, carry things, lift things. And I'm like, how long ago was this? She said 3 years. And it took me for a loop, because I was like, oh my God. Like, I have like a real life example of somebody that went through something extremely similar to me, and she didn't recover fully. So on my way like home in the next day and a half, I was like, maybe I'm being too positive. Oh my God, maybe really? I'm not facing reality here. Maybe I need to consider, I had my moments. Maybe like maybe I should think about this a bit more and how it's going to impact my life. All these thoughts. I went to see the hand therapist, and I told her and said, can you tell me for real? Seriously? Can you tell me the reality here? Because I feel like maybe I'm being like in La La Land here, thinking of a full recovery. Because from day one, I was determined I was going to get a full recovery. Good, that's the belief. I had no doubt. When people were asking me full recovery, I'm like 100%. Like, I just know. But then moments like this would come. I know, of course. You know? Yeah. So I left, and I was happy with her answer, because ultimately she said, tell me what she told you. And I told her, and she's like, are you kidding me right now? She's like, every person is different. She should have recovered way more than that. Like, look at how far you've come. All these things. I'm like, okay. I left. I remember getting up from the chair at the hand therapist and thinking, I'm recovering. Oh, that was your angel. I have no doubt. Like, and from that day on, the recovery happened so fast. Because like I went home, I was able to start taking the cast. I took the cast off a week before I was supposed to, and just started using my hand on the day-to-day. I'm like, I'm gonna grab things, I'm gonna start opening things, I'm gonna start moving it. I couldn't move anything when I first took the cast off. I had zero mobility in my hand. Like, I'm just gonna start doing things. Started going back to the gym, started lifting weights. Oh my God. Started like doing it. I'm like, I'm just gonna do as much as my body will allow me to. I had a number of people in my life saying, oh my gosh, don't do that. Don't touch that. Take it easy. You shouldn't be going to the gym right now. You need to be careful. I had so many people, obviously people that love me. I know. They only mean good intention. Mm-hmm. But in my mind, I just knew that my body was capable of all of it. And I had the idea in mind that I'm going to do everything that my body allows me to do and live a normal life. I'm not like paralyzing myself here thinking that I can't. Exactly. It's the opposite. I'm going to do everything that I possibly can and would normally, and push and continue to do. At first, I was getting sore. I was feeling pains when I was lifting weights. Now, I feel amazing. Oh my God. No pain. I'm lifting heavier than ever. I'm like feeling like back to normal. And it just speaks to just the power of the mind and how it's connected to your body and your spirit. And your ability to really heal yourself. Yes, 100. Oh my God. You know, that story gives me so much goosebumps, because you are a true testament that you can heal your body through the belief that it can be healed. And like, so the doubt crept in through the person, right? Or through other people sharing their experiences. But something within you was like, no, I refuse to believe this, because you control your reality. It's your consciousness and what you allow into your life and into your mind that sets the tone for what you're going to experience on the outside. So the woman showed up and told you all these things. So you had a moment of doubt. It was a moment. And then you went to the hand therapist, and that was like your angel, your guiding light. That was like, you got this. Don't doubt yourself. And from that moment, in what she said, it's like you regained that ability to be like, why would I ever doubt myself? Like, this is it. And this is where people fail. Okay? Let me tell you right now. When we know and we feel it in our
bodies that we're going to do well and we're going to do good, we then get caught up in the outside world. We get caught up in the things people are saying to us, in the things that show up for us, in the things that somebody with a similar experience comes to us and tells. Yes. So that when the doubt starts to creep in, all the belief that we've held about ourselves, it's like it just like knocks it out of the park, and then the doubts creep in. So then we forget. We let go of the idea that we can heal ourselves, that we can get better, that we can come out of this situation. And then we stay there. So for the woman who's like, oh, it's 3 years, because she put faith in the fact that she wasn't going to get better. She focused more on the now, then sometimes we have to be irrational. So for you to even question that and be like, am I being too positive about this? What do you mean? No, you can never be too focused on your betterment, on moving through a situation, because that's how powerful your mind is. We can't speak for other people and what is in their consciousness. We can only do it for ourselves. And if we see that this is what's going to happen and I'm going to get myself out of this situation, that faith and that belief will get you out of it. You're living proof of that. So I'm glad you're able to share this with everybody. Like, please be inspired by this story. Know that you are going to be the only limit to your success or to your failure. So when you are going through a challenge, like build the belief and have the faith that you're going to come out on the other side way better than you expected. And I'm sure you don't even realize just like what that was going to look like. You just knew that, hey, I'm going to heal.
Yes. Yeah.
So powerful.
Going back to feeling good, when I was in those moments of doubting, it felt awful.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it just felt like this doesn't sit right.
I know.
But when I was in the moments of like, obviously I'm going to heal.
Yeah.
Like, it's just going to get better and better every day. And that I told people this language, going back to language, that's what I used to tell people. How are you doing? I'm getting better every day. I'm getting stronger every day.
Right?
That's it. That's
Instead
all
of like,
I really have to say.
Oh, my hand hurts. Like, you're not focusing on the pain. I love that. Language is huge. Our words are magic. They're spells. What are you speaking into your life? What are you speaking over your life? It makes a huge difference. Like day-to-day things that we're not aware of, right?
Yes. It's so powerful. Felt so good to just believe and have faith in the whole healing process. Like that's all I needed to feel. Anything else just didn't feel right. So like obviously this is not it.
Yeah,
even though the doubts came, this is not it.
I personally feel like because you are like you've woken up and you understand this like the self-development journey, you understand how powerful you can be. This is why you were able to. Like, so people that are living the day-to-day are not going to focus on healing. They're going to focus on telling poor me, oh my God, I can't do anything, help me, and all these stories. So whatever we tell ourselves is what we're going to live, right? So if we keep reliving the same story, that is what the results are going to be.
100%.
And then we're like, oh, why did this? Why is it keep happening to me? What stories do you keep telling yourself? Somebody told me that what we're experiencing in our day-to-day right now are thoughts from our past. So to create a new reality or to create a new future, we have to think differently.
Yes.
So if you were thinking, hey, I don't know if I'm going to heal, that process could have taken a lot longer. Maybe you would have had almost like a full recovery because your mind was just focused on, you almost accept the belief that you may not heal properly because you're listening to everybody, because people are telling you these things. But you literally were stronger than the emotion, and you kept like repeating repetition, right? No, I'm gonna heal. Like subconsciously, you kept like seeing a different reality, and that's what you observed in your life.
And the cool thing about it is it gave me so much confidence.
Yeah.
That I'm like, okay, like this is
good.
You know, like I can definitely like the power of being able to tap into that.
Yeah.
And I know that with new situations, I still have the same power within me.
Yeah, and it's nothing external. Like it's nothing that you could like see, touch, taste, or smell.
Yes.
It's really like spiritually. It's really like it's like these things that you can't see.
Yes.
Right? The invisible. That's where the
Yes.
power comes from. It's the invisibility of what we have within us. Like, we can't see to believe, but that's how life, or that's what like our society teaches you. Oh, I want to see it to believe it. But you got to believe it and then you will see it. We have it like backwards. And did you ever hear Dr. like Joe Dispenza's story?
Yes.
How he got into like this accident.
And my mom sent me all the Joe Dispenza's like, you gotta listen to this. I know you can do this. And she said, oh yeah. She's like, this guy, like, she sat down and did meditations with me in the morning.
Wow.
She's like, she would get emotional and come to me crying. She's like, I don't know. She would have her moments of like seeing and doubts and things. And then she'd be like, okay, I know you're going to heal yourself. And then she would change it around. So she like sat down with me in the morning, put meditations. We like talked about it.
All of that, all of that played a part, right?
100%.
And when you, like, again, when you stay in that like belief and you cultivate that and you just have like this absolute faith, because like, you don't want to think of yourself as not healing. Like, why would you think that about it? Why would you even want that in your life, right? It's like, you have to believe that this is going to get better. Just like, you know, all of us with like the financial situation and the market that we're in. Yes. If we do not just say, no, things are going to get better. I don't care what I'm observing in my life right now.
What you're saying right now, because the funny part is the feeling as you're talking about it is the same. Like, it's the same feeling when I looking back into like the moments of doubt where I'm like, I'm not gonna heal, or I may not heal, and then when I think of like financial stress, it feels like a very similar feeling.
Yeah, it is. Because emotions are tied.
Yes, it's just, it feels like off.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't feel right.
Right? Like icky, like this, like, oh, like. But then this is the truth of, we create our reality, right? So if we're gonna focus on I'm not going to heal myself because, oh, you know, Joe and Danny, they told me that their friend didn't heal. And then we start to believe that we may also not heal based on the other person's story. And then someone's coming to you and say, oh, you know, like, this happened to me, and like, I lost this property. And then you start almost like, oh, well, maybe that could happen to me.
Yeah.
And then you start feeding more into that.
Chatting about a bunch of colleagues and friends that have been going through a really hard time.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and that may feel like the story with the lady with the like, oh my gosh, like, maybe I'm being too positive. Maybe I should be more focused on what could go wrong, you know?
Right, I know. But then when we focus on what can go wrong, again, we're bringing the law of attraction into...
We're building the wrong momentum.
We're bringing the wrong momentum, because that's what we experience and that's what we observe outside of us, right? So it's cultivating and learning to work within the confines of your own mind, getting it, like, building that muscle in where you want to go in your life, seeing it before it happens, right? Believing that it's possible for you. Because if you don't believe anything's possible for you, like, that's it, you're dead. Like, you're just going to stay right there.
Jackie, this has been so fun.
This is so good.
It's not over for us because we're going to have lunch now and keep talking, but I do need to end the episode. I mean, I'm sure this is going to be a series at this point because there's so much goodness in there. I appreciate you. I do end my podcast episodes with a question for everybody. The question is, if you had the world's attention for 30 seconds, what message would you share?
Okay, well, after this conversation, what I would want to share is that believe in yourself. Believe that you can change your life through your thoughts, because what you observe in your life, you create. So create love, create happiness, create joy, because you are the only one in control of your life. So make it the best experience ever.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
How can people reach you?
Okay, so you can contact me. IG is where I love to hang out. I think it's so much fun. My real estate IG handle, it's Francis5 Properties. And if you want to know more about coaching with me and really deep diving into your mind and how you can bust through some of those limiting beliefs that you're having, you can find me on IG at IEC Jacqueline, which stands for Inner Expansion Coach. I believe expansion begins from within you in order for you to experience it in your outside world. So connect with me there.
I love hearing that. Thank you so much. So you're like within your light, within your brightness, within your purpose. So thank you so much for joining me.
This has been
Until
amazing.
next time.
Bye. Bye.